Welcome to Hometown Happenings. I'm Carol McCarthy here lakeside with the new Minnesota Pollution Control Agency Commissioner, Paul Aasen. Welcome to Detroit Lakes.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
All right. Well, of course, you were appointed in 2011 by Governor Dayton. All right. And let's talk a little bit about, give us a little bit on your background.
Sure. By training, I'm an environmental toxicologist. So once upon a time, I was a scientist. I've had a history working in public safety, dealing with emergencies and chemical spills, spent some time working in the nonprofit sector. I worked for Jesse Ventura.
Okay.
I was head of government relations and policy for him. And this opportunity came up to be Pollution Control Agency, and I jumped on it.
Okay, great. So let's talk a little bit about your vision for the agency.
The agency's got a tough job, particularly right now. I mean, obviously, nobody has enough money to do everything. So we're charged with protecting Minnesotans and Minnesota's environment. We've got to implement federal law. We have state law here that reflects the special things about this state. We're trying to make sure we get the most important environmental work done first while we serve everybody. That includes the regulated parties, the general public, the environment, specialty groups as best as we can.
Okay. All right. And talk a little bit about some of the main issues you see with the that the MPCA is dealing with.
Sure, absolutely. We're here by a lake. I mean, water is a big deal in Minnesota. Always has been, always will be. Water is way up on our list of things that we're working on. Right now, the main focus points are non-point source pollution. So this is water that runs off over the land, either runs off of farm fields, might run off of streets. It causes a whole range of issues in water bodies, everything from simply too much water in a water body to carrying dirt and sediment in, as well as other things like metals and potentially pesticides or even exotic materials like endocrine disruptors, which are a new pollutant that we don't know enough about. So managing this across our whole landscape is clearly a bigger challenge than managing a few big pipes where you can go find them and talk to whoever's on the other end.
Okay.
The other piece of water that's tricky is trying to figure out exactly how to manage this connection between quality and quantity. And in this part of the state, the place where that gets played out the most is in the Red River Valley. We've always been worried about quantity of water. Clearly, flooding in the Red River Valley is important. Our agency plays a little role in that. But now more and more people are saying, when this floods, it also causes a quality issue. And there's too much nitrogen or too much phosphorus in the water, and it causes the water to grow too much algae, and then it degrades. So we've got to start to marry our quantity management and our quality management, and that makes it really tough on the red because you've got Minnesota, you've got North Dakota, and you've got Canada, and we all have to work together to make that a better place.
Sure, sure. I'm here with Paul Aasen. He is the new commissioner for the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, talking about his vision for the agency and some of the issues that the MPCA has on their plate, so to speak. And also, you talked about water, but there's also land and air.
Absolutely. Air quality is an interesting forefront to be working in right now. There's been a lot of good work done to control big smokestacks. So the old image of a smoking stack is really gone. And largely it's gone because of work that the electrical generating companies have done. So everyone who makes our electricity for us has spent a lot of time and money and energy to control what comes out of their smokestacks. Now we've got to look at sources that are spread out, just like the water problem. And it's everything from cars to how we develop our cities to what we burn off-road, and diesel emissions from off-road use, whether it's tractors or trucks or generators, is a big deal. And there's a direct human health impact from the air side. And we're just starting to get better at figuring out what's it mean to a kid with asthma if you can reduce how much particulate matter, the fine particles in the air they breathe in. And that will be a challenge for some time to come.
All right. Paul Aasen is the Commissioner for the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency here on Hometown Happenings today. We're going to take a quick break and be back with more after this. Welcome back to Hometown Happenings. I'm here today with Paul Aasen. He is the Commissioner for the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. We're talking about his vision for the agency, some of the things that are statewide issues that the MPCA is dealing with. Talk a little bit about, Paul, now you mentioned the Red River as an area that you're looking at and dealing with. What are some of the other issues in this area?
This whole part of the state, the whole northern tier, has a lot of lakes. Obviously, that's why we love this place. And in the past, people kind of divided where they built around the lakes that are high-quality lakes, the lakes that are traditional lakes, like Detroit Lake. And then you've got this other group of lakes that were really shallow. And in the past, no one thought they were nice enough or good enough to build around. Now people are starting to build homes around them. And because the lakes are so shallow, they're very sensitive to disturbances in their immediate area. And so these shallow lakes need a level of protection and a level of attention that's different than the traditional lakes even did. So working, mostly with the Department of Natural Resources and some of our folks, we're trying to figure out what's the best way to help folks manage the shallow lakes. How do we help counties and cities make decisions about where people can build, and just to try to protect them because they're just so sensitive, yet they're critical to the habitat and the ecosystems that they support.
Okay. Now I understand that you're going to work more with the watershed districts as well?
Absolutely. The water, like, everyone who's around this part of the country knows, water is everywhere. And that means everyone gets involved in a conversation about managing it. In this state, traditionally, when we've managed waters, it's been lake by lake or stretch of river by stretch of river. We need to think differently about that and think about these whole areas that drain to one place. So if we can start to test and assess waters and work our way up through the watersheds to figure out where the issues are, that will help us target our work. We've been doing that now for about 3 years. It's going to take us about 10 years to get around the whole state. As we do it, information is being handed off to our partners. Some of them are state agencies, some of them are federal agencies, and some of them, most of them, are local. And it's the local soil and watershed district. Maybe it's the local lake owners association. And so managing their backyard becomes a huge piece of this puzzle, and they're ready to go to work, which is great for us.
Okay. Paul Aasen is the Commissioner for the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency here with me in Detroit Lakes on Hometown Happenings. And now you were talked about some of the initiatives underway to address the water quality issues. Also, you'd mentioned, I spoke with you earlier about recycling, how big of a deal that is. And I know Becker County is huge in recycling now.
Solid waste, garbage, everything that we think about there is an interesting problem because none of us are afraid of it. It doesn't scare us like ozone emissions out of a tailpipe or something like that. But we're so comfortable with it that we've also gotten used to just kind of putting it out of sight and out of mind. And the next frontier in solid waste management is really making sure that we don't doubly waste material. So if there's plastic in that waste stream, we need to get it out of that waste stream, recycle it, reuse it. In some cases, the low-grade plastic can be turned into fuel. We ought to do that. And the beautiful thing about getting it out of the waste stream is then it reduces the chance that it accidentally gets burned. And when you burn plastics, you end up with dioxins. And dioxins in the air are not something you want to breathe. And it's really an issue right now for burn barrels across the state. So you don't see it in the urbanized areas anymore. But outside the urban areas, there's still about 250,000 families in this state that routinely burn their garbage. It's legal to do that. But if you've got plastic in that garbage, you're creating a health problem right in your backyard. So we need to look at recycling and getting this stuff out of the waste stream just to avoid that problem alone.
All right. Paul Aasen is the Commissioner for the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. He's here in Becker County today on Hometown Happenings by Detroit Lake. And Paul, it's been great visiting with you, and hopefully we'll touch base again soon.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
All right.
Thank you.
And Carol McCarthy with Paul Aasen here on Lakeside, Detroit Lake. I'm Carol McCarthy for Hometown Happenings. Thank you.